What's up, guys? Boosted Scat Pack here. I know it's been a long time since you guys got a video of the car on the track, but we are back and we're ready to pump out some videos for you guys. Basically, where we've been this whole time is working on the car. A lot has changed in the last year, and I'll get into some of that today to catch you guys up and get you up to speed. So over the last year, we've been out to the track several times and would have had some great video for you guys, but literally the car broke every single time we went to the track. If it didn't physically break something, it had bugs that forced us to call it a night. Never got a good run with the car on the old setup. It was just too finicky and too much power for the transmission and the way it was set up. So one memorable time was we broke another transmission like usual. So we put a brand new one in, traveled across several states, went to an event at a track in California. First launch, we broke the transmission. So at that point, we decided to start from square one. The transmission just wasn't holding the power. This is a full weight car, so we needed to make some changes. So like I said, we started from square one. And I know a lot of you guys won't like to hear this, but having this much power and torque on a car that is almost 4,700 pounds with full interior, trying to row the gears with the manual transmission, it just doesn't work. It got to the point where I had to baby it out of the hole or things would break instantly. So the next logical step with the car was to make it an automatic. And I know a lot of you guys won't like to hear that, but that's what we did. So we began working with our new sponsor, ATI Performance. They built us a hell of a Turbo 400 that'll handle the quadruple digit horsepower and torque numbers that we have and the sheer weight of the car. So while some of you manual guys might be a little bit sad, it's something that had to be done. Having run the car now a couple of times, I can tell you that I should have done this years ago. The car takes off like a rocket now, and we haven't even used the trans brake. So I'm still track tuning the car, so it's going to need a couple more outings to get it fine-tuned and get some more power out of it. But once the tune is dialed in, I'll launch on the trans brake, and then we'll really see what the car can do when it leaves under boost. Once we got the transmission figured out, the next step was to move on to the engine. There was nothing wrong with the old setup, but since we're trying to get this car to go into the 8s, we need to try and squeeze all the power out of it that we can from wherever we can. So working with our sponsor, Modern Muscle Extreme, we put our heads together and figured out that a 411 stroker Hemi would be the best bet for what our goals are. It'll be able to take all the boost we can throw at it and all the nitrous we need to spray through it. We picked out the cam that we needed to go along with the stroker kit, and the rest is history. It's got a 411 stroker now. The thing's got a ton of torque, just a ton of torque. It's an amazing build. So the engine and tranny were the major changes, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's been going on too. The car now runs on E85. We're getting ready to switch to a E90 that's mixed with race fuel. Got a triple pump fuel system, an air shifter, so I can keep my hands on the wheel. It just shifts by itself at whatever RPM I set it at. The new camshaft is nasty. I'll add a little clip in this video later so you can hear what it sounds like. Drag shocks front and rear, 90-10s in the front, 50-50s in the back. We did a 15-inch wheel conversion out back. Ported heads from Modern Muscle. They have a CNC porting machine there. Log tube headers. We also got a new roll cage, replaced the old 6-point. It's got an 850 certified cage now. So much more done to the car. We're going to try and do videos on every mod that we've done, but in a nutshell, those are some major ones. And last but certainly not least, some of you guys who follow us on Instagram might already know this, but we got rid of the old 2.3 blower, and now Whipple has hopped on as a sponsor for the car, and we have a 2.9 Gen 3 blower on the car, straight from Whipple. This thing runs cooler, it's bigger, lots more volume, just a better all-around blower. And we have an 8-rib set up on the car to hold the boost without slipping the belt. This is more stuff that we've documented everything, and our goal is to get all these mods covered in videos here this year, so stay tuned for those. Meanwhile, let's take a look at where we're at so far. So our first test with the new engine and trans was just a few weeks ago. Tuning at the track, so I can't crank up the tune quite yet, but the first set of clips we'll show is from its initial track day, so you can see the shakedown passes and see what we were able to accomplish before we had to call it a night. So we managed some pretty decent times. The DA was just shy of 5,000 feet, so that's pretty bad weather to be racing in. To compound problems, we had some skyrocketing IAT temps that we saw in the log, so we decided to pack up and make some adjustments before we beat on the car anymore. So we put a bigger pulley on it, so the boost dropped down about 3 or 4 pounds, and what we figured out was that we were just overspinning the blower to the point of diminishing returns. So another issue, you never know what torque converter you need. You can guess, but once you get it in the car, the only way to tell if it's going to work is to go test it out. So we found out that it was a little bit loose, so we pulled the converter out, sent it back to ATI, and they tightened it up a little bit and sent it right back to us. So we got that in now. We made some adjustments to the icebox system to help cool things down a little bit more. Now that brings us to our next set of videos, which is our second time out at the track doing some tuning. We're playing around with timing. Still kept the fuel really rich and safe. We found the intake temps were still a little high, but a lot better than before. We have a couple other ideas and maybe try and lower those a little bit, but everything was good enough that we could start adding some timing and see where the car likes to sing. So let's take a look at our first run.
This thing runs like an animal. Right side. What did I tell you? Little shakedown cruise, 953 with a 7 and a...
So not too bad for first run out. That was a 953 at 144 miles an hour. The DA was just shy of 3,700, which is pretty bad air to be racing in still, but that's the area we live in, and that's kind of normal for us up here. Well, I knew the mile an hour was a little bit low, and so the car needed a little bit more timing. The object here is to throw a little bit of timing at it and see if the mile an hour picks up. If it picks up, you know it was happy with that, and you can throw a little bit more at it next time. If it slows down, then you know that you've went a little too far, and so you need to back up. What we did here was I added 1.5 degrees to the tune, took it back out, and it picked up 2.5 miles an hour. So I could tell that it liked the timing that I gave it. So next time up, we'll put a little more. But anyways, here's that video where we added 1.5 degrees, and we'll see how it did. So seeing that it picked up 2.5 miles an hour, we were going to add a little bit more timing and go back at it again. However, the track was closing soon, so we didn't have, you really need like several runs to do all this, but we were able to get 4 in one night, and that's just all we could do. So with this next tune, I added 2 degrees and decided to see if that would pick up or slow down the car. And we were getting to the point where the timing was a little bit high, nothing dangerous, but I figured somewhere around here it would start to level off. But being that it was the end of the night and we might only get one more run, I decided to throw 2 degrees at it and take it out down the track and see if it picked up any mile an hour or if it leveled off. And so we'll see what it does here on this video. That was me racing a friend of mine in his Magnum SRT, and he's spraying a little bit of nitrous through that too. As you can see, the ET was there, but I lost 1.5 miles an hour. So that was the best ET of the night. However, the mile an hour going down shows me that I probably hit the threshold of the timing that it likes with the nitrous. So I'll probably back it off just a hair and maybe do a little bit of testing on the timing the next time I'm out, just to confirm that it's where it wants to be, and that's where it'll sit. So once I get the timing figured out on the next track event, I can move on to adjusting the fueling. The car is running really rich right now, which really hurts power, but it makes it very safe for when you're doing stuff like playing around with the timing, trying to find the sweet spot. Just in case you went a little too hot, the rich fueling will help with detonation and cooling and everything. So it's a safety net to run it this rich. That being said, once I start to lean the car out when the timing is where I want it to be, it's going to pick up a lot more power. So that's the next step in seeing what gains we can get out of the fueling. I'm low 10s on my air fuel ratio, and I could be as high as mid 11s and still be completely safe. So there's a ton of room for improvement there. So once we get the fueling where it needs to be, that's when the car is really going to shine and some real numbers will be laid down. Very much looking forward to doing that. I can't wait to get back out. Probably not this weekend, but maybe the next weekend we'll be doing that. So once we get all that ironed out, the next piece of the puzzle is going to be the trans brake. So I haven't used the trans brake yet. I've been launching using the foot brake method. It's easier on all the parts, and I just feel more comfortable that while I'm testing things, I want good data. I don't want wheel spin. I don't want a wheelie. I'm just looking for data right now, so I'm not using the trans brake. But when I do, the 60 foot's going to go way down, and that's going to drop my ETs big time. We've already done a couple baby wheelies. The car is probably going to really pick the tires up, and it's going to be quite an experience. I'm looking forward to that, kind of. It's a little sketchy feeling to think about it, but it'll be fun. Once we get the trans brake going, we'll be able to get on the 2-step and launch under full boost. So the car is going to just take off like a rocket. And after all that, we'll have our magic number. I'm hoping that it dips well into the 8s. I think it will. I don't see why it won't, especially if we get down to a track. There's a track about 6 hours from here that is at 178 feet above sea level, and they're regularly in the 1,000 DA range. Sometimes they're negative, so I think taking the car down there this fall, we're really going to see an amazing number from it. And if we don't, there's always more nitrous. And you know I'm not scared to use that stuff. I think that about wraps it up for this video. I hope it's been informative. Got you a little caught up on where we're at, what we're doing, what we've been doing. We might go test and tune this weekend, but it'll probably be the next weekend. So keep an eye out for the next update we'll have a video on how the fuel tuning results come out and then what kind of times we pick up. Maybe we'll get into the 8s next weekend. Hard to say, but we'll just keep going from there and get faster and faster, and I'll bring you guys along for the ride. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more, be sure and hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already, and thank you for watching. We'll see you here shortly.